It is Wednesday at 7:15 with me, Lynn Rene MacDonald, for our Right Thing show, and it's all about doing the right thing from love. We're going to take a few minutes. I'm just going to sage. We're a little backwards and behind in these times as Saturn's Earth world makes it so that right now in these times, there's not enough time in the day, right? So we're a little busy. Hi, everybody. I'm sure you'll be popping up in a few minutes. We have a few people here. My people are just kind of getting set up here a little bit. So we're running a little bit behind, and I definitely need some sage. These times are just, I don't even got to explain it to you. If you're living it, you already know it, right? Okay, so it's 7:15. It's Wednesday night. It's our Wednesday night show, doing the right thing from love. At 7:15 on this show, we teach everybody how to do the right thing from love. We just got our charger going, so we should be good. We're going to sage ourselves. And Sophia's here with us. Hi, Sophia. Thanks for coming. Thank you. All right, we have our mascot, Lovely. Hi, Lovely. And we have Sophia. We have Jennifer and Rachel, my faithful people and assistants. Okay, so I'm just going to sage a little bit. And on tonight's show, this is all about, just so you guys, just a recap on what we do. Up here's Molly. Hi, Molly. Thanks for coming. Hello. All right, so on tonight's show, what we're going to be doing, like we do every Wednesday, is we talk about solutions, situations, problems, issues, everything in our lives, where we would address things that are going on in our lives and how to handle them from love, both in Saturn's Earth world, be it in society, and doing the right thing from love across the board, and the right thing from all that is love, which is universal law. So that said, that's what we do in the show, so you can bring your problems, issues, if you want to know about particular words, how things work with energy, in a word in society, and how to use a right word or the right words in a situation, or what's going on psychologically with somebody, right? This show is to answer any and all questions you have for all that is love energy or God or universe, and get those answers, okay? So I'm just going to get this off of us. Clear this out, whatever energy that is, God. Now, please, from love. All right. Thank you. All right. Let me be free of this as well. All right, so we're going to have a great show, a dynamite show. I want to just take a moment to say the show is on donation, so if you guys can donate and energetically, financially energetically, however way you feel, share it with your friends, share what we do with the world, because the more we teach the world what the right thing to do from love is, the better. Thank you all for coming. I see you guys all on here. Thank you guys for coming. Hi, Molly. All right, so all this said, we're going to take a minute here, and we're going to give you guys time. I'm sure you may have some questions that you'll want answered, and I'm just going to give you an idea of what we're going to work on tonight here, or today, or what we're going to address. Last week we talked about the blue chair and one of our neighbors here, where we have our shopping center, right, where we're located. And again, you can send donations to the Institute for Christ Consciousness, the Copper Dragon here in Virginia Beach, which is our love energy healing teaching center for people and pets, as well as high-end metaphysical products, okay? So that you guys know about that. You can also do the Venmo and the PayPal. And I also want to say thank you to everybody who donates. Thank you, everybody. Super grateful, super grateful. This helps us keep what we do going, right? Okay, so that said, this show is going to be about metaphysical. We're going to talk about those blue chairs and what happened last week. We kind of thought we finished that up, but what was interesting is there's a little bit or piece that we're going to add to that today that universe has guided me to add to as a guidance from love energy, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We are also going to talk about the court system, right? We've talked about how all the systems out here guided by the stars are failing, basically. And they're falling apart because they're not based in truth of God or love in the purest form. So this is why in society these things don't work or are not working, and they've just come to this point across the board. Whether it's in business, we've talked about the schools, education, higher education, whatever all this stuff is. It's just government, everything that's world takeover, social media. All right, this is all kind of really run amok in these times, but it's part of the grand plan of God to change and morph the world to higher knowing and higher being of love, right? Or higher energy from love, right? To change what is going on here, right? So the darkness is kind of taken over, and it is up to people, our people being people who are in their heart hearts. Doesn't matter what religion you are, doesn't matter, anything, any ethnicity, whatever it is that you are, the person you are, as long as you are in your heart and you come from love and that is your intent, then you are our people and we are your people, right? And so this is what we teach, how to live from those places. Okay, so we're going to talk about the court system because that's a fucking mess. Just to give you my experience for this in the courts today, and it's quite an illuminating thing. What has happened to me with the court stuff. And we're also going to talk about you guys and your questions. And I'd like to really start with that. If you guys have any questions, whether we have somebody who needed solutions from last week, and it could be anything. It could be, I need a solution, right? I need an attorney, or, should I divorce my husband, or what's going on here? I feel like he's cheating, or I don't know what the right thing to do is. How do I talk to him, right? Or whatever it is that the situation is, having problems with people at work, how do we handle these things? Sometimes we'll talk to them straight up in Earth World, but we'll always ask universe, ask love, ask God, and be guided from that space, because that's what we do and teach and live. Okay, so that said, do we have anybody, guys, from last week?
No, we don't.
Nobody who has any questions or anything from last week? Okay. How about anybody from the audience? Do you guys have any questions from here tonight?
Not yet.
All right. How about you, Sophia?
I did have a question that just popped up now in my head.
Okay, could you please speak up if you don't mind? Because it's hard. I can hear you, but I feel like it's hard for the people to hear you. Hi, internet peeps. Okay, go ahead.
I don't really know how to put it into words because it kind of just popped in now.
Okay.
I was kind of wondering what your thoughts on marriage were, because I know that a lot of different people get married for different reasons, and a lot of people don't get married for the right reasons.
Okay.
And is there a right reason to get married?
Okay.
That's interesting.
All right. Sophia wants to know kind of like all about marriage and when's the right time, right reasons, and if we should get married, and, all about getting married, right? In this case, I'm sure we could look up the word marriage, right? But what I'm getting from universe and what I feel in my heart is truth of God and love, right? From this information energetically, and that comes in, okay? Marriage is kind of like an institution or an agreement, right? It comes back from a long time ago, and I feel like it originated with the church, okay? Through via the church. The church is your governing law of energy from for many centuries, right? So it kind of, that's why, you have different religions, and through time, the religion or the church, right, was basically the government or the controller of everything, really, right? Just like when Michelangelo back in the day, he painted the Sistine Chapel. Well, who paid him? The church. It was in the church, right? So they did a lot of business for the church because the church had the money. So the church kind of controlled the rules, and it was a really good way. When I say good way, it was a good way for them, let's say, to keep society in order, right? In some kind of order, just like the 10 Commandments, right? There's a whole bunch of commandments to help keep people in line in Earth world, right? So we don't have a society that's run amok. You know what I'm saying? Like what is it? Is it Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, where everything gets crazy and trashed, and in the story is God has a fit and destroys the cities and all that stuff, right? So the world doesn't become like that. All right. The church has basically been your governor, right? Until, as things progressed, it became different. And then we had governments in different countries through time. I'm sure there's a lot more to the story of how it evolved. But this is basically the basics of what universe is telling me, what's the God's honest truth here. So basically, marriage is an institution of a way to basically keep people together, have a family, because if you have a family, right, you don't have people running all over trying to have sex with other people, right? You have some form of a basis for a civilization and a family unit based in love. Do you understand that? And when you have a family unit based in love, then you have people that you care about, and you want to do the right thing, not only for yourself, but for the people that you care about, right? So this helps, believe it or not, to keep people in line. It is more of a religious thing than this has to be in this reality thing. Do you see what I'm saying? And so people can say, well, it's archaic, right? But a lot of old world stuff like Saturn governs old world, honor, respect, rules, a code of ethics, right? Saturn governs that, right? And whether they're obsolete or not is really up to the individual of what they want to do, basically, with anything in your life. But as a general rule here, this is kind of what has happened, right, through time, and there's a lot more. You could probably follow it and trace it. They could probably do like a 3-hour mini series on how this happened, church, government, marriage, and all of that, you know what I mean? What comes in is that marriage is an institution, right, to keep the people basically in some way, shape, or form in a controlled space, right, and to teach them how to do the right thing. They have families, they have children, and then we can work together as, you take care of your families, and then there's a whole societal general rules that they develop, governed by the church, and the church tries to what? Teach love and do the right thing, right? That's the whole idea of God, right? So there's a higher being that you have to be accountable for or to, right? And that's the whole idea of church. And really the church idea or the religion idea from the beginning of time, whatever religion you are, it's to teach of a higher knowing, a higher space of being, right? And it's supposed to be really based in love and all about love. At whatever vibration the religion is throughout time, it is what it is. But this is all part of, let's say, how it has gone down through history and all that is in the grand design of both Saturn's Earth world in like code of ethics to help instill laws and rules in people and society so they don't run out and kill people and sleep with everybody and do all this disgusting, unwell, or toxic stuff. And the church makes these governing rules to help people stay in alignment with, quote unquote, their space of love that they teach in that religion, right? Or the right thing to do, instilled with different information throughout time that man manipulates or the church manipulates, right? Because everything is all part of, God, or societal beliefs, right, about God throughout time that morphs and grows throughout time and changes, just like everything that is God. It's constantly changing, right? So like one of Jennifer's favorite lines is that she has studied language, right, and she loves Spanish, right? So throughout time, right, she always says language morphs. Everything morphs through time, right? Belief systems, just like the times we're in now, right? Most of us on a conscious person or people or human earth world level just really for a long time now can't believe what's happening really is happening. But somewhere inside of your soul you somehow knew that this was going to happen, and this is a part of your destiny and your journey, because your soul, your subconscious soul, always knows truth of God and comes in and you have this inner knowing. Just like when I teach here, all the stuff I say, right, people may go, oh, I don't believe that, or that's fucking crazy, or she's out of her mind, or she's off her rocker, but yet they go home and they're still thinking about it. Why are they still thinking about it? Because they're still thinking about it because what I teach is wisdom. It is the highest knowing of all, which is what God has originated in, and is that. Do you see what I'm saying? Wisdom trumps everything. It's being in your heart. It is love, right? So when we come from love, we do the right thing, but it has been corrupted over time with man's ideas of what love is, right? And all, like they say, and like I always say with the SATs, right? People say, well, what's going on with my husband? Is it, or my friend? Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that? And I go, it's D. It's all of the above, because it's complex. So all of this is super complex, but very simply, this is what God is guiding me to teach and tell you all, that throughout time, there's a whole evolution of the church, of humanity, of countries, of governments, right? And it used to be, right? And you can learn a lot of this taking like art history in college, right? And I learned a lot of my stuff, when I say a lot of my stuff, a lot about art history, and much of art history was about the church and Michelangelo back in the Renaissance times, right? And all of that. So there's a form of like an academic education in there, but you have to remember that this is all bits and pieces designed by what? Humanity, right? In their God spaces, of their spaces in their belief system, right? Of what they believe in that time period, as well as their personal beliefs, right? Just like if you go out and you were to tell somebody 30 years from now that all the millennials were into electronics and they were in their headspace and they were super intellectual, right? But they weren't coming from their heart, or there was a whole faction of this and they wanted, what is the word, tyranny, or they wanted socialism, right? Not necessarily tyranny, but they supported socialism and all the crazy shit going on, right? 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 100 years from now, now, 1,000 years from now, we might be scratching our head going, what the fuck? Who would ever want that, right? But each time in history, through generations, through individuals and people, right, has all different belief systems that morph and mold and change with everything that happens with all that is God throughout time. So church and marriage and, let's say, the institution, so to speak, of that is all part of the grand system of God or love, an old world code of moral ethics that sometimes is archaic, or sometimes people don't want to do it or can't do it or aren't into it. So you have to pick and choose if this works for you. And then you have to say, what kind of marriage is it? Is this a marriage that comes from love in its pureness, right? A marriage is an agreement between two people that has become legal. Why is it legal? Because it's harder to get out of it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's that much harder to get out of it, because most people, when they have affairs, and this is my business, I work with people all day long, all the time for years now, right, psychologically, and all their things that go on with them. And I can tell you this, I can't tell you, and most of you know if you've had an affair, most of the time the guy doesn't leave his wife. Why? Because he doesn't want to lose his shit. He doesn't want to go through the legal process. It takes a long ass time. He doesn't want to lose his kids. So there's all these grand designs that are, laws and legalities and fears that are all instilled in this, which make people not want to leave their and then go and have a lover because they're not happy in the relationship, but they go and do that because they are not strong enough to say, you know what? I love me, and this relationship isn't healthy for me if my partner doesn't work on it, or I need something different, and be straight up and honest with it. Because if we are that way, then we're in a better self-love space than if we are not. Instead, they go and have an affair, or they get their needs met out over here, right? And a lot of times that's part of their earth world process to learn, is this the right thing to do? Should I be doing this? Am I talking to God about doing this? Do you see what I'm saying? So marriage is instilled and has many complexities within that. And you have to pick and choose based on your belief systems, what you feel in your heart, and what your religious beliefs are. Let's say, and if you go by a particular religion, what those beliefs are. Do you see what I'm saying? So, marriage has a lot of good things in it too, right? And you pick and choose whether they're good things for you or not. So, and how do you do that? You ask love, you ask God. Because, if you're going to be afraid to leave somebody, right, then you have to say, well, why am I like that? Because everything really is about a divine relationship with yourself first. Right? Why? You have to say, why am I going to get married? What are the reasons I would do that? And is this a positive, healthy thing for me? Am I doing it because the church says I have to, or my religion believes that we should? Right? Because like one of the things that I know is in a particular religion, I think that I grew up in, was it Catholic or Roman Catholic that we were? What were we? Yeah. When we were younger, right? And what I learned from that was that you weren't allowed to have sex before you were married, right? That was one of the things, right? And they were against abortion. And these are very controversial topics, right? You're not supposed to, cheat on your husband or wife. And there's a whole code of ethics that the whole religion has here in Saturn's Earth world, right? And all because it's religion, and like the church is supposed to be and is known traditionally in Earth world as a house of God, right? It doesn't mean that it is in the purest form of love or God, and neither are their beliefs. But all these things, if you think about it, right, like abortion, and that's a very, that's a very controversial topic. Having affairs outside of your relationship, being a sinner, these are all things that come with stuff like religion, and it's a very, very hot topic or touchy topic, right? But the truth of God is, right, from love, when something tries to control you or tell you what you cannot do. Can you pass me that fan? I'm super hot in here. Thank you. This is my fan that Nicole operated me. Thank you, Nicole. I'm so glad we have it, because we're like ass backwards and sideways tonight, and it's so fucking hot in here because it's like 80 degrees here in Virginia Beach, So anyways, so we never put the air on, but we really need more people to help us out, but everybody's doing a great job, and it's just crazy, right? So I'm just going to use my fan to cool me off. We got that air on. But anyways, so going back to these topics in religion and all of this, okay, they're designed by the church, right? Supposedly in some kind of form of teaching of God and love at a particular vibrational level. That's what it is supposed to be. And that's the design of God or love, is to bring you through all different, let's say, religions through lifetimes, different ways of beliefs, of beings, practices. Everything that you learn is all part of your destiny with love energy that is God. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. It's whatever resonates with you in whatever lifetime you have or are in, at whatever, century you're in. And right now here you are in this time frame. And in this time here today, what universe tells me, right, when you start to try to control people, right, with this, it's not coming from the purest form of love, right? But then the question becomes, well, how do you teach people not to, let's say, to do the right thing from love? Not necessarily not do these things, but how do you teach them? Well, you teach them the right thing from love, and you show them, and you give them the tools to do this, which is basically what we do on the show, right? And in all of our shows, right? We teach them the right things to do from love, and then they learn through their experience in Earth World that love brings them great things, and then they're less likely to do toxic because they also have learned in the past and will learn in the future and will learn by working with love that great things happen for them. And when you don't do the best thing or the right thing from love, what happens? Toxic shit comes to you, whether it's in that 5 minutes or 10 minutes from now, right? Or when I say 10 minutes from now, or lifetimes from now, right? It's karma, right? But you learn the law of universal law of all that is God, and religion is a way to get you to the highest levels of God. It's all part of the grand design of God through time, right? Okay, so marriage is all part of this in different religions, and there's different rules and regulations and agreements and ways of doing things. But any time, you have somebody who says you're a sinner, right, that implies that you did something wrong. Really, with love energy, there is no wrong, but it doesn't mean that you are not responsible for what you do. You are, because the law of love energy is complete freedom, and that complete freedom gives you license to do whatever you want, right? However, it is not without consequence, so to speak, or without being responsible for what you do, right? So in the moment, somebody may get away with all these murders or all this stuff or whatever, right? But at some point, the karma's going to cycle around, right? And whether it comes back in this lifetime or lifetimes from now, right? It's coming. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is all part of where marriage is instilled, and you know what I mean, and comes from, right? And it doesn't mean that it's just in religion across time. There's different, you could say like even different, I don't know what you would call it, ethnicities, and different cultures everywhere around the world have some form of, let's say, religion, just like astrology. They have some form of astrology, some form of God beliefs, some form of a title for God, right? Whether you call it God or whatever, Allah or Jesus or Buddha or whatever your belief system is, you're reaching out for higher knowing that is love, that is God. And none of this is wrong. It's about your design and who you are and what you came to learn, be, do, teach, and who you are in that moment and where you want to go with it. Do you see? So in this reality, I came in here to be this person and teach this, and the universe said to me, what you need to call it in this lifetime, what you should call it is God. Because I said, why do I call it God? Because it's a name, it's a title for a supreme energy or love, and that's what most of the people here know in Earth World, right? Or a lot, not most, let's say a large majority of the people, right? Like Saturn's Earth World, there's certain rules that everybody's got to go by. There's exceptions, of course, right? But this is why they said you teach and you call it God. Well, whether you call it God or you call it Allah or you call it universe or you call it spirit or you call it angels, really all you're doing is giving the energy of love a name, a title, a form of respect and honor. Do you understand that? From love. And that's the whole idea of an identity. You know, like when I see somebody and I say, hey, and I can't remember their name, you don't feel good about that. You're like, fuck, I can't remember their name, because you want to show a space of respect and honor for them in Earth World Society, right? Right? Or the first thing you do is you say, hello, I am so-and-so. And that gives the person a title for who you are, your energy, your identity in Earth World, right? Same kind of thing that you do here for God, with God or universe, right? Giving it that title. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's about being in your heart and knowing that it's love and working with that energy. And religions are all different variations of energies of love and vibrations. And you can be any religion and be a higher vibrational, spiritual Christ God being. It doesn't mean, or any kind of belief system, it doesn't mean that you are actually activating and working from that place in your heart. Now, I know plenty of people who are super religious and super different, belief systems, right? And they come here to our shopping center, and they do readings and they work with me or whatever, right? And I know those people, and they have incredible faith, because faith isn't about a religion and an earth world system, right? And faith isn't about, what society tells you it should be. Faith is something that comes in here from your heart from lifetimes, right? And we all have it in us. It's the part of it's everything that is the grand design of God in humanity and in earth world and in all that is God. It is our souls. It is our purest form of love in our souls. And in this reality, we call it our hearts. Do you see? Yeah. And that's why we call it hearts. Hearts is all about what? Love. All different vibrations of love. So marriage comes from an institutional thing of cultures and religion throughout time. Does this make sense? And of course, you can research it and you can get more in depth with it and get all academic on it. And that's great. If you feel called to doing that, that's fantastic, right? This is what universe guides for me to share with everybody so that they get basically an understanding how it went and how it works through time and why this is. Now, like I said, you have to pick and choose whether you want to be married or not. So now in the next segment of your question, because this is a complex question, and not everybody thinks, oh, I'm in love with him and I just want to get married. But they don't think anything about being married and what it means, right? They don't, because we don't think about those things a lot of times. So really, this is a really brilliant question, because all these people here on our show, I'm sure, rarely thought of this, right? So what comes in, though, but it's important for them to know what the truth is about these systems that we have here in Earth World, how they've evolved through time, and how they're toxic or based in lies or based in not truth of God, of love in the purest form. It's important for us to know that, because when we live our lives in any place less than love, it cycles around and it comes back everywhere in all that we are. Do you see what I'm saying? In some way, shape, or form. Whether 5 minutes from now, 1 year from now, 3 seconds from now, it's going to come back. And usually it cycles back, and you'll know it most when it's in the transit, because it's in the part of grand design of all that is God in your soul's pathway, right? Your soul's pathway, right, that you chose. And what happens is the stars activate that, because you signed on for this and you created this with God in your soul. So you can say, oh, well, the stars made this happen, or my family lineage made this happen. No. You chose this before you came in here, and the issues that you have or want to address, everything right down to that very question that you ask, is all in the grand design of the energy of your chart, your family lineage, and all that is you, that is the freedom of you. But you picked and chose this path before you came in. That's why you don't want to be anybody else either. Right? Did you ever think about that? You think, wow, wouldn't it be great to be Brad Pitt? Or wouldn't it be great to be the Kardashians? Or wouldn't it be great to be President Trump, right? Right? Or whoever, right? Or wouldn't it be great to be Elon Musk, right? Since he's all the rave right now in Earth World Society, with a lot of millennials and a lot of people right now in Earth World, right? So he's kind of like in this lovely good graces things. But remember, we're living in the time of Neptune and Pisces, massive disillusionment. So it's going to be exciting to see what goes down there. And we'll talk about that later, like on another day maybe, right? Okay, so going back to, right, all of this, thanks God for bringing me back here with all of this for the people, and bringing us back to the grand design of your soul and what's going on here. So literally, you pick and choose your destiny before you come in. That's free will, okay? And same thing with marriage. But a lot of people don't know what to ask, how to ask. They just go along with society, which is the very things that are happening out here, which is why the darkness is able to take over, because cognitive thinking, or thinking from your heart, so to speak, in alignment and balanced in your heart with God or love, and talking to God, talking to love, and listening to your intuition in your heart, right? They're not doing that. And that gives darkness what? The doorway to take over, the doorway to slide in, right? Remember, when you think about it, there's some funny shit that I posted back in I think, and this is funny because it is a funny video, and people will be like, oh, Lynn, you're a Trump lover. Well, there's a lot of good things about Donald Trump, but just like everybody's got their shit to work on, right? And that's just the way it is. However, there's a video that you guys should really look at because it's really fucking funny, and it's Donald Trump, and it's called The Snake, right? Check it out, because that's exactly how it is, It's like, this is exactly a perfect rendition when he tells the story of the snake, and it's a story of a woman who gives the guy who she says, my snake is dying, and a story of a woman with the snake, and the snake comes along, and the snake is dying. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to tell you guys to take a look at this story, because he does it on stage, right? Because it's Donald Trump, and you know how he is. But it is a great segment to show you how darkness works. Right? So it absolutely is. So it's like a 5-minute video. Even if you have an issue with Donald Trump, that's your shit. Ask God to clear it out and put the best way to be in place of this, right? Because any hate that you have for anybody and their crap is your own shit reflected back at you. Truth of God, right? So that just means that you have work to do in that area, right? Or in that space. Things to change, things to grow. There's nothing wrong with you. But if you have any kind of hate or toxic or unwellness, right? Then those are your spaces reflected back to you. But then, and when we get in these spaces, we lose the chance to see great wisdom, because we hate this person so much that we won't watch this video that really has a window and insight into what's going on in the world. And this is old, right? But it's coming in from universe for a reason. For those of you who have time and can watch it, it is a great video. It's done on stage, right? With Donald Trump in person at one of his rally things, but it's really good to show you what's going on in these dark times, right? So you have free will, you can pick and choose whatever you want to do, okay? But now I'm going to talk about how this relates to you and your spiritual journey, right? Because you chose me, right, as your mom, let's say, right? You chose me as your mom. We all pick and choose the people in our lives, right? Every single one of us and we all have agreements within our relationships, our family lineage, our destiny, and everything that we came in here to do, right? So as you go down this path, you are going to most likely, based in who you are, in your life, right, you're going to be examining a lot of stuff because you're high-end spiritual, right? You didn't just pick this weirdo family to come into, right? As people say, I say to my kids all the time, right? Not many people have a mom like me. What we do and teach, they used to call me the bohemian mom, right? Because I do things very differently from Earthworld, right? Very differently, right? Guided by higher knowing, but that's my destiny. But they picked me as their mom and me as and I picked them as my children, right? Because we all have shit to heal. This isn't about, we're so great, such great beings of God. No, it's lovely to be in this space with God. Absolutely. I love what we do, and it's so fascinating, but that's how you know you're in your heart and you're doing the right thing for you and what you came in here to do. But all of this said, we came in here as human beings and have massive amounts to learn and grow and do. And so Sophia and Madeline, and my children, my family, my friends, all of us have karmic relationships and agreements and learning and growth. Even people who are toxic in our lives are here because they love us. Right? And because we love them, and there are agreements here to go through these things together so that we can work on us and heal us, and also do what you call karmic agreements through time, right? Where you have energy exchanges, right? I think on one of our videos we talked about the exchanges of money, right? Or energy through lifetime. Sometimes you can owe somebody money from lifetimes, but it can come out as a different energetic exchange, right? Okay, so, but without going far into that, I'm just using this as an example right now to help explain what we're talking about here. So in this lifetime, Sophia, because you came in a family of high-end knowing of God and in a long line in your ancestral history, and that's who all you guys are too, right? We all came on this planet to do this work, to change this planet, because we are over the darkness, really. We're over the darkness in ourselves, first and foremost. Self-love, got to heal that, right? But we work on these things simultaneously with all that is in the stars, and we are here to change the world by our journeys, as well as both out here in our destinies, right? Our journeys, our personal journeys, and our destinies, right? Okay, so all of this said, at some point, and what is happening with the changes coming in on the planet, the new world, just like twin flame relationships, twin flame soulmate relationships, and soulmate relationships. There's all different kinds of what you call spiritual relationships that people, and we will get into this in the future because people want to know about these things, but they need to know the God's honest truth about what they are. Because everyone thinks, oh, I met my soulmate, I met my twin flame, they're the love of my life, and everything's great. And then they realize that the person takes off and leaves them, and they're like, yeah, I'm fucked, right? Because it's delusional. They're delusional, right? It is a high-end divine journey and relationship, right? So it's really about getting you to a place of being free of attachment and your next leveling up in spirituality or in your soul of self-love, right? But it doesn't mean that these relationships like soulmates, twin flames, and twin flame soulmates can't be a great relationship for you. They can be, but the new world is going to put this in a whole new space of this. Really, those are not necessarily your greatest partner like everybody believes. They're like, oh, we were just madly in love, right? Because we've been together for 23 lifetimes and isn't this great? And I'm like, you have no idea how many times I've done this. I'm like, so it's crazy, but it's the truth, right? And it's an amazing metaphysical thing, right? But it is not like they're three particular, very different relationships that are intimate, right? And they are guided and part of your divine growing, right? Of loving yourself, because people think, oh, we just come here to have a great life and a great family, and then we have fun and we're princesses, or we have this idea that we're going to be a princess and our prince is going to sweep us off our feet. There was one girl that I used to know be like, this is crazy shit, right? She used to call her Italian stallion, and every time she would say that, I would like, oh, we need to clear that, all right? But at the time, I couldn't say that. It is what it is, right? Anyways, but it gives you a reflection. The way that you talk and what you say about people tells me everything about you and tells you that. Doesn't mean that she's bad. It's just she has this idea of what her guy should look like, and I scratch my head and go, wow, that's kind of strange. I never in my life called any of my partners that or thought of any of my partners like that, but this is unique to her shit, right? I had, and this is, each one of us has our own shit, right? And then I had another partner, another person, I'm trying to think, right? I had another partner, right, where they're constantly believing that their partner is in love with them and the whole relationship is over here and it's delusional, and the other person isn't in love with them at all, right? And yet they can't see that at all. In their mind, they're forcing this to happen and they're not getting it, right? So these things are part of the things that are designed to heal in these relationship places. Because when you're not living from truth of God or love, the God's honest truth, then you're at a deficit somewhere because you're delusional, or you're in a toxic or unwell energy that you can't see the truth, and then you can't have a healthy relationship. And the reason this happens to you, because you go out there and you say, oh, I just want to have the best relationship for me, God, and you ask God for that, and then you wonder why you have all these shitty relationships, because God is throwing it right at you with your soul, governed by your soul, calling in all these partners to say, yep, this partner shows where you need to work on you, and the next one does too, and when you don't get it, here's number 5, Lynn. Here's number 5 for you. Are you getting it yet? And then I stood in my kitchen, and I think I told you guys this. Why, God, can't I have a partner who's there for me? And God said to me, when are you going to be there for you? And I'm like, fuck, you're right. And I was angry and I was pissed off, and I'm like, thank you, God, for clearing that. Right? Clear, heal, and change this. Release all this energy that is this. Put the best way to be in place of this for me from love, right? So Marriage is all intertwined with this kind of thing, these relationships, and all the grand design of God and love and relationships, because everybody here in Earth World, yes, it can be a beautiful, amazing thing. You can have a wonderful, wonderful family. But the truth of God is that that place comes from being in your heart for you first, in the purest form, when your partner being like that, and you both having lives within that space where each of you are not the other's cake. You are the icing on the cake, and you work together from love, and you work with God to create your greatest destinies, and you work together. And when there's problems, you talk to God, you talk to love, you ask, is this my shit? Is this my shit? And the new world relationships will not necessarily have to be twin flame and all of that other stuff in spirituality that everybody talks about and raves about, how the twin flame is this and the twin flame is that and the soulmate is this and the twin flame soulmate is that, and there's all this like hype about it, and so much of it is bullshit, right? And garbage. Just like when they put empath stuff out, they're like, oh, it sucks to be an empath, and woe is me, and my life sucks. For Christ's sake, if you weren't an empath, you wouldn't have any spiritual gifts, you jackass. Because that's the truth. You gotta be an empath. And people get these fucked up beliefs and spirituality, and I'm like, oh my God. And this is how I even got to this point. I'm like, God, please, what's the God's honest truth of all this shit? Because I get all these people who come in their warped avenues of spirituality, because unwellness and toxic and not truth of God or love comes out in every fucking area of our lives. At whatever vibration you are spiritually, or where in your business, in your home, in earth world, in your physical health, in your metaphysical, in your metaphysical health, right? In your soul, right? In your reality, everywhere, right? Crazy shit. So, in the new world, the reason all of this stuff has brought us to this place is that marriage, right? In the new world, you don't need marriage, because if you work with God and you authentically love each other truly, and you ask God for the best partner for you from love, not necessarily a twin flame, not necessarily a soulmate, not necessarily a twin flame soulmate. They very well may be that, but it cannot be in a toxic space. And if it is, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It means you both must work on it. One of the greatest things I did in my life was having a relationship with people who didn't have a fucking relationship with me. I'll call them all the time. Oh yeah, when are we going to see each other? Once every 5 months? I'm like, oh, this is a great relationship. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because they're not there for me. I'm not getting my needs met. They're saying they're in it when they're really not. They're not there. They're not calling me. They're not doing things for me, and maybe we go out once in a while for 5 months and have a great weekend, and have great sex and a great time, and I can love him, right? But clearly, if I have needs that are greater than this, they're not, or I want a long-term Libra or Venus type relationship, right? If I want that, then this is not the person for me, and I have needs, and as long as my needs aren't getting met, it is a relationship that at some point is not going to work, because it's toxic and it makes me feel like shit about me, right? And it has all these other demons all wrapped up in it that are negative self-love spaces, right? Because the second, these things come out in me where something doesn't work in my relationship, and it's a flag, or it doesn't make me feel good, then I have to address it with God or love and say, hey, what's going on here? You know what I mean? I don't feel good about this partner. So the new world is going to be, hey, partner, you're doing this. This doesn't work for me, right? But you're going to start out with coming from love. Hey, man, I love you and I want this to work, right? And then you're going to say, but here's how I'm feeling, and why are we having this? But before I even get to that space, I'm going to talk to God and say, okay, God, what's going on here? What's the God's honest truth? And your partner will too, or you'll do it together to get to the bottom with this. Please resolve this now, please, God from love. Because the new world relationships are all about working with love and working with God and being in the healthiest self-love space of you. And really, that's really the true, authentic, healthiest relationship. Not the one where you see your neighbors walking down the street and you go, oh, I want a relationship like that. They're so in love, right? They're so in love. And if only I could have that relationship. Or you have some friends over here, and every time you see them, they're like in the zone, you think, and they're happy, and wow, they always do stuff. Meanwhile, what you don't see is he's sleeping with the neighbor and nobody knows, and then you find out 3 months later. Do you see what I'm saying? It's your delusions about what you think is going on there. And that's the truth of God. The people who will really have the healthiest, best relationships into the future are going to be in their hearts, They're going to be working with God or love. It doesn't matter what religion they are, right? As long as they're working with love energy to be their greatest selves, and they're doing their spiritual work, and they're co-creating their greatest life, their greatest family. Their ideas are in the same, trajectory, let's say, energetically. But most of the time, they will have signed on that before they come, just like all my ex-partners, right? I'm a Venus Libra man, and it's conjunct my sun, right? So I've always been a decent-looking girl, and I've just like, people, a lot of Leos, right? Leos and Libras are usually your most physically attractive in the zodiac across the board. Now, there's exceptions to this, right? However, these are the people that never have problems, right? Having dates and having people, but they're all fucked up in their relationships. Why? Because they're created so beautiful, these people, right? And people go, oh, like the Kardashians, I would be so beautiful like them. But the problem is, right? The reason most of these people are so beautiful is because they fail to see the beautiful that they are within themselves, and they self-loathe. So this is part of the grand design, to get them to see the truth about what's going on with them, right? Of course, there is exceptions, and everything is intricate and unique to each individual soul. But as a grand design in astrology, depending on what houses you are or how prominent aspects you have in Leo and Libra, these are some of your most physically attractive signs, right? Leo has all this charm. You can probably pick out a dozen people, like a Barack Obama, right? One of the reasons he was so great at being, and got elected was because he was a good-looking dude. He was charming. He was flamboyant. He was on stage, right? So, not when I say on stage, that's how he was when he was on stage, too, right? He had, that whole Leo energy, charm, charisma. Libras have that, too, right? And so, and different placements will have that, too, right? Like my daughter Madeline has Leo in her fourth house, right? In her fourth house, right? With her family. And I shit you not, her whole family sees her as being so beautiful, right? And she's charming, and she's charisma, and she's charismatic, and she's fucking hysterical, right? But now one of her journeys is, how do I take this energy and utilize it in the healthiest, best way in all that I am? Do you see what I'm saying? So, but in each one of us, we have different aspects of all these things that I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about here right now is that some of your most challenged people are your most beautiful people that you see in their physicality. They're so broken inside, right? Because everything is an illusion, right? So there's this illusion of how beautiful they are, and people go, wow, I want what they have, right? And the second you say that, is that really what you want, right? Yeah, right? I used to do that all the time. I used to be, oh man, that guy is so hot. And then all of a sudden, when I was younger, this is years ago, I'd be ended up in bed with him, and I'm like, and in a relationship that started like in 3 weeks, and I'd be like, oh fuck. I'm like, this guy is yucky. I'm like, I don't want to be with him. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking, right? But all I could see when I was younger was, oh my God, he's so hot. And it was such a void of self-love space. I got to be with him, and I got to have him. And if I could just have him, I would be so happy. And then I would get him, and I'd be like, yeah, this was a mistake. Yeah, because I wasn't seeing what was really going on there because of my delusions, my illusions, my belief systems, my toxic, right? So twin flame relationships are all designed, and the new relationships of love are all going to bring us out of these spaces. And this is all for the new world. So remember these things when you are in relationships, when you get in relationships, what's really going on. And the same thing with marriage. In the future, when you work with God, right? And you're in love with each other, you won't need to know that you have to be married. You won't have to have that legal bond here in Earth world. Why? Because you know in your heart, and you're both working with God, and that will never dissolve if you know that in your heart. Do you understand that? So marriage is based really in a fear complexity on a self-love level, as well as in society's fear of getting you to adhere to their rules and regulations and society's way of doing things. Do you see what I'm saying? So this, what it comes down to is that. How does marriage benefit me? Do I want to be in this space? Because if you do it, you can't do anything, or you can do anything you want, right? However, right, if you do it from a fear space, then that already starts to unwind it. Do Do you see what I'm saying? If you do it because you're guided by higher knowing of God and God says to do this, then you're doing the right thing. Or when I say God says to do this, God doesn't tell you anything. It's your inner heart working with love energy, and you say, God, what is the best thing for me? Is it best that I get married? And then universe or the angels will tell you what the best thing for you is, but you still have free will to do it. Like God doesn't tell you to do anything, right? Like when I say, oh, God said to do this, and God said to do this, really? This is my heart working with that love energy, and I'm listening to it, and then I choose what I want to do from love for me. And if I have aversions to that, then I have to say, okay, God, let me change this. Do you see what I'm saying? Let me create it to be the best way to be from love in me. Thanks God for that for me. Do you see? Yeah, in my soul and in all that I am, be, say, do, and create in the best way for us and all, or something better. And thank you, God, for that for me. But very simply, thanks, love, for this for me. Okay? So does that make sense to you? And it's a complex question. I totally get it. And it involves so many different things about the institution of marriage and where it's going into the future. But there will be times... But really, marriage in the high-end love energy Christ world will not be necessary. Do you understand that? Because people are not going to be in the toxic spaces that are void of love for themselves in the way that they are now in this reality, which would cause them to be fearful of losing somebody. And when you're fearful of losing somebody, where is it that you have lost you and you can't find you? Yeah. And I mean, and the list goes on because it's all based in fears. Do you see what I'm saying? And you will know by how it feels. I really love this person. I want to be with this person. And as long as we have that agreement, that is between us. Do you see what I'm saying? No, us with love energy. That's it. Or God. Right? That's our agreement. And if I think it will be wisest to get married in cases of, let's say, children and stuff like that, it may very well be, depending on what's happening in Saturn's Earth world. And universe will tell you. But this is across the board. This is where it's going through into the future throughout time. New relationships, whole new world. But it doesn't happen in 5 minutes, and it's going to take time. That's the nature of Saturn's Earth world. So as you get older, because right now you're, 17? Right. As you get older, you will, let's say 5 years from now, the world may be so crazy, you may still want to get married, and there may still be those rules, right? So that you can instill some kind of structure for your kids and your family, depending on how that is. You know what I mean? Like what's going on in Earth world society that makes this the best thing for me to do right here as I balance what God tells me, what I feel in my heart, what I know is my relationship, even though I know that I love my person, right? And I know that I don't necessarily need to be married for me and that person, right? But in Earth world, what are the reasons why I would want to do that are beneficial to me? And then you ask God, because everything is relevant to the moment, because as times change, right? As times change, belief system change, rules change, laws change, and things can be, and especially in these times, even more fucked up, right? So that's why you always want to ask God or love, because in that moment, that will tell you in your heart what to do. And they'll send you to every avenue, angels, God, universe, love, and your soul, because it is your soul that activates everything, God, with you. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is why nobody else is responsible for your shit but you. You're not responsible for anybody else dying. You're not responsible for who I marry or what I do or anything bad that happens to me, or if I got divorced or if I got married or if I had a shitty relationship or whatever. You are never responsible for me or anybody else. You are responsible for you. And that's the grand design of God or love and all that is love in the purest form in this reality, okay? As well as in Saturn's Earth world with stuff like this and their rules and regulations, which are all within the whole complexity of all that is God, that is love. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. And there was something else that I needed to say. What was that in reference to that, God, please? Yeah. If there's anything else in reference to this, let me know. So does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to ask or add to that?
No.
Now that I've done so much talking, my tea is cold. Yeah. All right. Thank you, God, for me enjoying it just as much as if it was hot, right? Thanks, God. Thanks, love. Okay, so how about you, Molly? You good for now, or do you have a question?
I just want clearing. I feel like I never understood. I get why people change their kids' last names to their partners, but that always tweaked me because I just don't understand it. Like, for example, if I gave birth and I name it after my husband's last name, I don't understand.
Right. Well, and that's another complex thing, like this marriage question. Okay. So what Molly is asking about, she wants a clearing. She wants me to talk about basically, or she's asking very simply, and I'm just going to ask God for a simple way to explain this. It's based in the same thing, basically.
Yeah, I just want
it's about control. Right, it's about control, as to why people change names, right, or people give their children's names, right, their husband's name to the children or their partner's name to the children, right, and this has a lot to do with all through society, the man having all the power throughout time, when really truth of God is, God doesn't see it as man is greater than woman. That's bullshit created by humanity, really, and same thing with black and white or whatever ethnicity you are, whatever culture you are, right? Universe, God, love in its purest form does not acknowledge that in the way that human beings do in shitty, toxic ways, right? Everybody is part of love energy, and everybody is honored and respected equally. Your destiny and your place in society isn't because God decided that for you. It is because you did. Everything down to the color of your skin, your ethnicity, and you giving away your power or not. And this gets really complex, but that's why I'm here. This is what we do. We are able to answer these questions and make sense out of the bullshit shit that they tell you out here in this reality, which is not truth of God or love. And you already know that because you're like, what the fuck? Every time they say something crazy, you're like, what the fuck? Every time I'm like, I want to get my brick out and wail it at the television set. I know you can relate, right? However, going back and retaining my emotional shit here, right? Going back to this, right, this again goes back to the culture of men and men having all the power throughout time, right? But if you really look through, right, at the reality of men and women, there's different kinds of strength. There's physical strength and then there's emotional strength, right? And one, usually in this particular case, comes at the deficit of another, right? But it is complex and it's not always like that, but this is a general rule in Earth World. You'll find that women can persevere through a lot more shit than men can, right? Mm-hmm. All right. And so much of that is your strength from where? Within, right? Versus physical strength, right? So this is all part. The name changing thing in some way, shape, or form is about giving away your power. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Which would be why that would tweak you, right? And you have a dad who's very power energy, right? So that would make sense that would tweak you as well. You know what I mean? Not that you meaning your dad would tweak you, but having these experiences, this would be all intertwined with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So does everybody get that? That in this particular case, what Molly's referring to, and overall, without going too much extensively into it, and we can pick up on this on another night too, because I want to get to some of your other questions here. And we've gone into a lot with the marriage stuff. So basically, for the most part, you have to say, why are you giving your name, or why are you giving your child somebody else's name, right? Because it is about, I want to do this. Is it a sacrifice? There's so many different energies that come with this, or am I giving away my power? Or why do I want them to have this name? Do I like this name better than that one? You have to ask yourself what exactly that you're doing. But the main reason this was through history was about giving the power to the man. Do you know what I mean? And also about security. Because if this child was part of your family and it wasn't an illegitimate kid, right? Just like all the gypsies in the line of my family. It's funny shit, right? But in those days, maybe not so much, right? Just like the stigmas, like when you be pregnant in the 40s and 30s out of wedlock and shit like that with religions and stuff, and they treated those people, and Catholic schools and stuff. I know people who told me horror stories from these things, right? Abusive horror stories, right? There's no way in hell that these beliefs in these systems come from love when they're like this and they're toxic. If they tweak you and they don't feel right from love, all right, or don't feel good in your heart, you always have to say, what's going on here, God? What's the God's honest truth? And it's individual, again, to each and every one of us. But as a general code of ethics, this is what's going on here. You have to ask yourself, what's in a name? What's the energy? Why do I want to do that, right? Maybe your name is Dumpster, your last name, and you don't want your kid to have the last name Dumpster, right? And you may have, maybe, and your partner's name is Elitist. Maybe you want that name instead of Dumpster. Or you may have have, the name Wealther. Maybe I want him to have lots of wealth, my baby. You know what I mean? I mean, it could be, or Broom, right? So he could clean up, right? So there's all different energies in all these things. And so when you pick a name, everything is energy, right? So, and all of this goes with that. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm going to do a clearing on this for Molly because it tweaked her. I'm going to ask God to connect with this energy emotionally and in all that it is for all of us and anything in us that is all of this and related to this. Thank you, God, for us connecting to it, feeling it emotionally, healing it, processing it, releasing it from the best way, in the best way from love and being free of it. And in place of this, putting the best way to be from love in the purest form in this reality, any reality, and all that is. Thank you, God, for these gifts in our souls and in all we are, be, say, do, and create in the best way for us and all or something better. Thank you, God, for that for us. Okay. So that said, how about our internet people? I see you there, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. All right, go ahead, Ray.
Well, tonight we have
Jen's got
Angela Pearl's here, Wendy Hall.
Hi, Wendy.
Nikki Opper.
Hi.
Zoe
Guys.
Lucas.
Okay. Cool.
Kinsey's here. Steve's here.
Kinsey, where you been, girl? Here's what I'm going to say to you, Kinsey. I know what's going on there. So, anyways, I'm glad you're back. Go ahead. And hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Go ahead. Who we got?
So Nikki Opper has two questions. I'm going to start with the one that she kind of segued into. Mm-hmm. She said, since the church was brought up, I have a question. Many indigenous Americans or Native Americans spend time traveling to D.C. to give the finger to Abraham Lincoln because of his support in the development of the Intercontinental Railroad back in the day and forced the relocation and death of many tribes. And many blame the church, white men, and the government for all these problems even to this day. Where that might be true a couple hundred years ago, I feel they, as a group, hold on to their history so hard, hold on to the bitterness, the grief, and the anger that they can't get to a better place as a group and tribe, and they will never find healing. I feel they have conveniently forgotten their own bloody history. If they, as a collective, were able to let go of that energy... my thing disappeared.
All right, can you speak up too? I want to make sure everybody can hear you.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
But Nikki posted it all on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you guys can also read it right here in the feed. It should be what Nikki's saying. But go ahead. So she feels what? Did you find it?
Not yet. Having trouble.
Okay. All right. Thanks, God, for us getting this information, the rest of this information now, please, from Nikki's question. Because she's basically, I do feel like I'm picking up on what she's asking is, but I want to hear the rest of it. I feel like it is... what happens is people get in these toxic spaces and they get stuck in them, right? And they want to do right and they want to pick up the candle for somebody else or a righteous cause, or what they feel is the right thing, right? But more often than not, what they're doing is not. It's like the Million Women March, right? And when Jennifer finds the rest of this, if it does come up, do you see it there, Rachel? My dog Daisy is also having a moment. So we're having a small intermission. Daisy's a big talker here, right? All right, I'm just fixing myself here. Okay. All right, so Rachel, do you see it in there? Jennifer needs some help. Do you see the Nikki's question? Can you pull the rest of it up? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I was just saying something. All right, so, let me just quick, so when you find it, give me a second here, because really what's happening is they're employing a cause that really is no longer their cause, right? This is something that happened long ago, and they're picking up a candle for this, and they don't even know what the fucking truth about the whole thing was to begin with, right? They just know what was said, and they have this rage and anger in them from lifetimes of variations of this energy or that relate to this energy, and then they pick it up and they bring it out in this reality, which just really basically tells me there's more healing to do, right? But that's the whole essence of Earth World, is getting into these spaces so we can act out and do these things. But true, authentic healing for all of us, regardless of what happens out here, comes from in here, because this changes everything. But also, Earth World and metaphysical go hand in hand to to open doorways and create through the experiences in Earth world also the karma and the understanding in these situations so we can grow. Just like when we go to different counseling, like you can come here and have stuff healed and talk about stuff and learn about stuff, right? Or you can do therapy sessions with somebody else, or you can do psychology sessions, right? A lot of it is getting it out in Earth world and talking about it and releasing these emotions and releasing your feelings, right? That's all part of this kind of process, right? And you can do lots of emotional healing, lots of different kinds of healing, right? However, more often than not, the things such as this, like the Million Women March in Washington, D.C., they're trying to get their power out here when the power comes from in here. You have the power in here. You heal you have the power in here, and this doesn't happen anymore out here. Do you see? So this is a very similar thing in alignment, but is what I'm feeling like. But I'm going to let Rachel and Jennifer, we're going to piece the pieces of Nikki's whole entire segment because we lost part of the question there, and we're going to have Rachel read the rest of it so that if there's anything that needs to be addressed and added here from higher knowing of God through me, we get to the complete answer for this question. But this is what I'm feeling like. This is across the board. And this is great learning for all of us here, because then you could understand here that picking up shit from the past is that it's from the past. We cannot live in the past. And what happens is when the past is right here in our face, it doesn't mean that we can't live in the past, so to speak. That's a true word, right? Those are true words, right? We never want to be stuck in the past, in the toxic of the past. It doesn't mean we don't honor those that have come before us, right? Or we don't basically put it up on the shelf in our history or in our knowledge and in our wisdom within our souls or in earth world reality where we have a monument and we can honor these people and these things that have happened. Absolutely. There's a positive, healthy space of everything here in earth world. That's part of the whole earth world experience, right? But when we get to start to get wild and violent and toxic and protest and all of this toxic energy, and you will know how this is happening by the way it's going on and what is happening out in earth world. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is complex, all right, but I'm going to stop here and because this really gives you ideas and understanding, just like the Black Lives Matter shit, right? This has been warped and distorted, right, all throughout history and time, right? The toxic has already happened. What are we going to do to say, you know what? We see we were these people or that this happened. What are we going to do in us to heal us so into the future this doesn't happen anymore? Let's not try to make restitution through other people and force shit on other people about trying to do the right thing and force that, what we believe should be right, through other people, through other ethnicities, through other cultures, because you fucking owe me from that, because nothing is the truth. Nobody owes you fucking nothing in this reality. Nobody. Because your shit is your shit in your soul, right? And you create your reality, and you are responsible for the destiny that you have and everything that fucking goes on here. That's why I'm doing this work, because I'm over this kind of bullshit. Not just here with Black Lives Matter or with indigenous people or whoever's shit the shit is. My own shit, right? I'm over it. Right? Because it isn't truth of God. It isn't truth of love, but it is authentic in the fact that I feel this way. So how do I heal this and quit recreating into the future all this toxic shit? Because that's exactly what they're doing with this toxic energy. But this is part of the grand design of darkness to get us to separate, to get us to hate each other, to get us to not be there for each other, and to hate and to destroy. And then everybody's at odds. And then what happens? And then they pass all these bills and these laws and all this shit, and then you have less and less freedoms, and you're not even paying attention to what's going on, because in your toxic space of you, the darkness is taking advantage of you, because that's how the love energy works. In the darkness, Satan, Luciferian energy, knows that that's how love energy works, and this is how they ease and smooth out their way right into taking over everything. Do you see? Based on hate, the hate in our souls, the stuff that hasn't been healed in here for lifetimes, right? While what they do is they pour gasoline. Well, you said this and you said that, and this is how it is, and you owe me, and fuck you and your whiteness and all that shit that goes on. And any kind of prejudice goes both ways or in all ways. Prejudice is fucking toxic, and it can be a thing of the past, right? when we heal ourselves, instead of getting all wild about how Molly owes me from 17 lifetimes ago and I'm going to make her father pay 25 grand in restitution so my kid can go to school over here or whatever the fuck I want to do with that money. But the whole point is that's not how you do it from love. That's not how it's done. If we heal it in here, we work with God, we come with the best solutions from love energy, because that's how it truly works. Truly. We get in our heart space. We say, hey, this is what happened in the past. We acknowledge that it's toxic. How can we change what we're going to do in Earth World into the future to honor everybody, to come from love with everybody, to come together from love and be free of these things that are in here, right, that are in our souls that do not serve us and create what is happening out here? Because if nobody tells us, then we cannot change these things. And we keep trying to do this all through history, from the beginning of time, through violence, through hate, through Catholics and slavery and killing of Jewish people. I mean, you name it. This has gone on over and over and over and over and over and over. When are we going to get a fucking clue that it's not out here? It's in here. How do we stop this? Yeah, this is how. This is how. Work with love, right? Just by each one of us coming from love, we know that the solution is not that. It's not me trying to make you be less or go to the end of the line because of what color or ethnicity or any shit like that, whatever the color you are, right? Because the truth is, I've been every single ethnicity that has existed on this fucking planet because I didn't get to this God space and this knowledge and wisdom by not being that. I can tell you lifetimes where I have been shit on, crapped on in all different kinds of different ways. I shit you not, right? I have been a young black man in the 1930s, right? And my whole career, my whole life, I was a financial genius, right? And I had all these white kids who I thought were my friends, and my parents in a past lifetime. And my parents said to me, "Don't you be hanging out with them," right? And I passed the exams and stuff, and with the financial market and all this cool shit, and right, that was my career. My career was supposed to be all these great things in the financial market, but I got wrapped up in toxic people, and these other guys were white, and what did they do? They killed me because they were jealous. Because they were jealous. And my mom and dad, right, we were people of color, and my mom and dad said to me, they said, "We told you not to go out with them. You need to stop hanging out with them," because they saw what was coming in that time. So this is just one lifetime of mine. Horrible stuff. Really tough shit. And I walked around as an 18-year-old, right? African-American boy, right? Living outside in like Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn, New York, you know? And with this energy, I lost all of my dreams in this lifetime, right? Of having this great destiny, right? Because I so wanted to fit in with the people over here, with the kids over here. And I would say, those people are my friends, Mom. Those people are my friends, right? All part of my learning about what friends really are. Who are your friends? Doesn't mean that we can have, you can be friends with any ethnicity, but this, whatever ethnicity you are, right? But this was part of my journey and my growing and my learning of having these experiences to understand this space of love that is in me, right? That I carry within me from lifetimes. And this isn't just one life I've had with this. I have multiple lifetimes. And I can share with you lifetimes with everybody else that I know. The older the soul, the more you have been everything and done everything and gone through everything. And that's why, right, I'm going to be hard pressed, right? If they came to my door and said, "We are mandating inoculations," I'll be like, "You're going to have to fucking kill me, because man, I've been through it so many lifetimes before, and you will not take my integrity, my honor, my respect, my freedom, my God space, and fuck you," because that's the space of God I'm in. I've been through it all, I've done it all, and I know what the truth is of God is, and I'm never, ever going to sacrifice my heart and my beliefs and my God connection for anything that I don't believe in at all, at all. You don't compromise. God doesn't compromise. People used to say to me in my relationships, "Oh, you can compromise. Why don't you fuck compromise?" God doesn't compromise. No, it's about doing what's best for love. Call it whatever you want, but it is not compromise, right? Love doesn't say, "It's okay that you did that. We're going to give you a free pass. You can compromise." Doesn't do that. That's not how it works. We are all responsible for our shit. So the second I think of myself as compromising my freedom, my rights, everything, all my dreams, I'm a less than space of me. And then it creates more of that in my reality, more of that in my society. This is how it works. But we have all lived lifetimes, going back to this space, we have all lived lifetimes as multiple different cultures. I mean, and don't think for a second that I'm some kind of fucking angel, because I've done some nasty shit in lifetimes too. Some majorly toxic shit, right? But you don't get to this space of God because you have to understand, right? By actually living and doing, that's part of the essence of earth world reality. We've all been through it. So when somebody says, you don't know what it's like to be black, or you don't know what it's like to be Chinese or Oriental or whatever your fucking ethnicity is, right? Whatever it is. Or you don't know what it's like to be white, right? Yeah, at this level of God, I do know. I do know. Right? But we're talking this way because we're working with that love energy, and it is an understanding of love. And in this space, you know what? I know that that's not truth of God. And if I did not, all this toxic stuff is not truth of God. If I did not go through all of these experiences for lifetimes, right? As my arsenal of the wisdom of my soul, which is a genius, as is yours, as these are the people that we are, right? Yeah. These are our gifts. This is why we are here on the planet, because we understand from here and here that the shit that is going on here is not truth of God and love in the purest form, and that the darkness has taken over here. And our job is to change that by being the example, right? And that's why I'm doing these shows. That's why I'm telling you guys to share. That's why you guys are who you are, and your mission and your dreams in this reality. Yeah, because you came in here to do your thing, your gifts, your magic. And we all come together like a giant puzzle of all the magic of love that is God in a purest form, and different layers of that depending on what vibration you are, to get to all the people and the whole entire planet and come up with the best solutions, the best systems. Because here, highest knowing of God and love is where they come from. All right? And that's why we are here, because we are these love energy beings, right? And that's why I can teach about love, because I know it like nobody else's business, because this is who we are. We are that high-end Christ energy, right? And this is why we're doing the show, so that we all can know it. We can all get it out there, because people don't know. And then with this madness of Neptune and Pisces, people are like, whoa, you know, like their delusions are just fucking crazy through the roof, you know. Your friends will say shit to you and you're like, did you really say that? And you've been my friend? How could that be? You know what I mean? You're just like, whoa, you know, because these are those times, right? And that's what the darkness does. It plays on the universal law of the light and utilize it, flips it over, right? Heads or tails, right? Flips it over, because there's multiple layers of God. There's multiple layers of everything that goes on in your soul. But it takes the light, uses their formula to get dark, to bring darkness to this world. Do you see? And it's so smooth, right? There you go. All right, so go ahead, read Nikki's question, and I'll see if I can't answer it in completion. Okay. If there's anything else to add.
Just a little bit that I don't think Jen had read. She wrote, if they as a collective were able to let go of that energy, meaning the grief and the bitterness from the past, would we see a better relationship between America and the indigenous America?
If they were to let go of it, and that's exactly what we just talked about in this whole thing. Absolutely, absolutely. But as a collective, you know, it starts with the individual, right? If we all came from love, just like with the people hating Donald Trump, I hate Donald Trump, I hate Donald Trump, I hate Donald Trump, all that hate creates him to be what they don't want him to be, or creates what they don't want to happen, right? But on an individual level, right, if we all came from love, just like when I said, okay, if you don't like Donald Trump, that's okay. Why don't you pray for him to be the best president for us anyways, and see what happens? And maybe, just maybe, you could basically learn something here, right? See that this really can happen, because we're coming from love. And if you're authentic and you can say, you can put your bullshit aside or clear it out of you, then you can create anybody who gets into that office to be the best president, the best person that they can be from love, right? And that energy goes always to create the very things that you would like, that are positive and healthy, depending on what you put out there, right? But your darkness does the same thing. You're toxic in you, okay? So, and there are many elements of all of this and how this works, but this is all as a general rule. But your answer, Nikki, for this question is yes. In the collective, in the consciousness that is all of this, absolutely 110%. If the collective got together and said, you know what? We want to change this. We're not going to protest in this way. We're going to see what other options we have. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk. We're going to come from love. We're going to ask higher knowing, or love energy in however they do so in their culture and in their beliefs, right? Because it's all the same energy, regardless of what you call it, your belief systems, right? As long as you honor it with an identity and you respect it, right? And you work with that energy, by all means, they could get together and, pray on it or create it through this avenue of energy within their cultural beliefs. And let me just see here. And there is where the solution is, right? Coming together from love, healing this sadness, this pain, this suffering, releasing all this emotional stuff from lifetimes and releasing it from our family lineage, right? And this is all what we do, right, in our souls in here. So the answer is absolutely yes. And you're right. Go Nikki. Go Nikki. All right. So anybody else have a question?
We actually have another Nikki question.
All right. 1 second. Can you just tell me what time it is so we're staying in the zone?
8:35.
Okay, so we're going to go on for about 10 more minutes, okay, everybody? Go ahead. What's the next question?
She said that her and Nicholas decided to go away for Easter, and she weaved a reason as to why we got the room for herself to her mom. So in short, she lied to her mom.
Wait a minute. What? I'm confused. So they decided. So you and Nicholas, Nikki, decided to go away for Easter, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, and then?
She pretty much lied to her mom about why they decided to go away. And she said when making sure that her and Nicholas were on the same page with each other, he said that they were on the same page, but lying is always wrong. She does not agree, and she's wondering what you say.
All right. Well, it's complex, all right? Because, just like the other stuff we talked about, there's all different forms of lying and there's all different reasons of lying. So the best thing to do in this situation, like I can understand Nicholas saying lying is wrong, right? When I would speed in the car, my 4-year-old, my 5-year-old would say, Mom, you're speeding. And I would say, no, I'm not. I'm allowed to go 5 miles over the speed limit. That's like the societal norms or whatever. But she'd be like, no, she couldn't comprehend the fact that, I was speeding, right? So I would say, I'm not really speeding, Sophia, and she'd be like, well, that's a lie, Mom. That's a lie. Well, I guess you could see it like that. In her mind, it was a lie because the speed limit was 55 and it wasn't. I would go like 60, 68, right? So I could get where I'm going. So I'd be enough because that's going and working with Saturn societal earth world rules, right? Universal rules in society, right? So here in America, let's say, right, where there's a code in sociology, right? Just like standing a certain distance apart in the elevator, right? Same kind of thing. You're allowed to go usually 8 miles an hour over the speed limit, right, before the police will pull you over, right? And I remember driving with my daughter, and I would say, this is okay. And she'd be like, no, it's not. No, it's not, So, these are the things where you say to yourself, well, there's some confusion about what's going on here, right? And I can't remember exactly how the words went down, but the bottom line is I wasn't doing exactly what the law would say on the sign, which was 55. So if I'm going 8 miles over, my child is seeing this as I'm not doing what I should be doing. And I would say, yes, I am. And she would say, no, you're not, and basically that's the kind of thing. And she'd be like, well, you're lying, Mom. And I'd be like, no, I'm not lying, but it's based in our understanding of what exactly a lie is. Do you see what I'm saying? It's because my kid was 4 or 5, right? And she sees it as black and white, and it being a traditional, super gifted, intellectual thinker, right? So when she sees this as pink, there's nothing that's going to tell her that it's not pink, right? But little do we know it could be light pink if we turn on the light, right? The color of the pink changes, or it's brighter pink over here, right? And I can say, well, there's certain parts of that are brighter pink, and she'd be like, no, you're lying because the light isn't on. But here in the light, you're going to see those brighter points of pink, right? Because it shines through, right? But this is, it's all about your interpretation of what exactly a lie is, right? And it's complex. complex. It's like the words yes and no. When they used to say no means no and yes means yes, it's the same kind of thing. Language, like Jennifer says, is fluid. What is it that you're really saying? What are your belief system? What is the God's honest truth here, right? So in every situation, it is unique and different, right? So the best way to do it is ask God what to say. Ask God how to handle this. Ask God how to speak through you with this situation, because I know this is complex. Now, we can talk about it here if you want to get into it, and I will explain it, the best way to do something like this from the universe, but I don't know if you're that comfortable in this forum, in this atmosphere, to do this. But the bottom line is the answer is always there, right? So, because there will be times when universe will say, yes, the answer will be not necessarily in exactly the way Nicholas says or believes it, but a lot of people out here will think that it's a lie and it's done deliberately and a lie, but God told you to do it, right? And one of the reasons you would do or say a lie is because you speak to the demon in a language that he understands. That doesn't mean that you're bad or you're toxic. Sometimes lies is what other people do, and it's none of their fucking business what you're doing. So universe will say certain things that you might say, guided by higher knowing always, not what you, let's say, think, right? Guided by higher knowing, right? So, based on this, right, you have to remember that, right? If somebody lies to you all the time and then all of a sudden they're trying to get some information from you and they act like they're your friend, right? Do you think it's wise that you tell them the truth and give them the information that they want, right? So you can say, you know what? I'll get back to you later, or I'll talk to you later about it, and then you can go talk to God about it, but you're always going to bring it to source, or in that moment, you're going to say, love, thank you for speaking through me now, please. Love, thank you for handling this now, please. And that's how you do it, so that in any situation, you may lie, but if that's what comes out of your mouth and you ask God how to handle it, then know this. Higher knowing knows exactly what's going on and why you said what you said, and that does not necessarily tag you in the toxic world, earth world beliefs, as Nicholas is saying, that is lies and condemns you. It does not. Higher knowing is the rules of love guided by the highest power of love, right? And this knows everything that is truly going on, even when you do not. So if you say something or do something in earth world that you consider is a lie to get out of a situation or to hide something from somebody, and you did not ask God to speak through you or God to handle it from love, make sure that in that moment you clear that out of you and change it, so that you do that, and you always do the best thing from love, and thank you, God, for that for us. And then you bring this later on to source to get to the God's honest truth of why what happened, and how come all this went down like this, so you can understand how universal law works, what's really going on with, let's say, your mom, what's really going on with you, why you did that, right? Because the truth here is, what you wanted to do is, and I'm going to lay it on the line, the truth here is, you wanted to do something from love for you. You wanted to go out, you wanted to have a nice holiday dinner, you didn't want to be around toxic, and right now, the energy of what's going on with your mom and your family and all this crazy stuff in these times is really challenging, right? So what you are doing is you're honoring you from love, and you're saying, you know what? I want to go and I want to have a nice holiday, and right now it behooves me to be away from my mom, and that's what I'm going to do, right? Yeah. So you ask love how to do that, because this is the truth, and love will honor you, because what you're doing is you're not trying to be shitty to your mom or toxic to your mom. What's happening is the reason you lied is because you feel bad about it. You feel bad that you should want to be away from your mom, because you should want to be with your family, when really it's okay. Your mom isn't there half the time for you in these times, right? But here you are feeling bad for her, and clearly she ain't giving a shit about being there for you, but here you are feeling guilty for you. And this is that self-love space that I'm talking about. Do you see? This is why all of this is happening with this. Does this make sense to everybody? This is about honoring you, coming from love for you. You're not trying to be shitty to your mom. And the truth is, the reason you did that is because you needed some relief, right? But there is a better way to do it with higher knowing of love, and that's why I gave you these tools. But I already know that and are already working on that and have been and into the future will be. So your heart is in the right place, right? Big difference from doing vindictive lying, right, to be nasty and shitty and deliberately not invite somebody to make them want to feel bad and curse them out and be shitty to them, than it is saying, you know what, I really feel like I need time to be with my husband and my daughter and have a really nice holiday without any grief, without any toxic, without any unwell. And I'm going to share with you guys my story because my mom said she was coming and she's all angry about with me and the way, let's say, the things that I'm doing with my children, right? What I believe is right for my children, right? But they're my children, and I'm the governor of them in my heart, right? With love, right? And I love and honor my mother, but my mother doesn't get to tell me what to do with my children. I can honor her and I can respect her and I can say, okay, Mom, I hear you, but I cannot let her bash her beliefs into me. So she was having a moment, and apparently she went and told my sister that she was going to get all wild, but instead of talking to me because she's not comfortable talking to me because she knows what I'm going to do and say, just like I do here, right? Because I am this person. So I talk to you guys the way I talk to my sister, the way I talk to my mother, because if I'm not authentic, I got no business doing this work and being this person, right? No, right? Can't do this work. So, bottom line is, my mother calls up my sister and starts, getting all upset, telling my sister she's going to come here and wreak havoc for Easter. She's supposed to come for dinner, but she's going to tear it up, and she's going to tell me, she's going to just give it to me about my kids and their schooling and all this shit and what they should be doing and all this crap. And my sister said, please don't do that, Mom. Call her before and tell her. Right? That's what my sister said to her, right? But my mother hasn't called me. And I know why. Because then she would already be starting this, and we would go down this path. And I just nipped it in the bud. And I said, you know what, God? Excuse me. I said, God, I have had, I've been through so much stuff, And in my people's face, just like you, Nikki, I don't want to deal with any shit. If my mother can come here and be kind and not throw her belief systems at me, not try to be shitty at me, not try to instill her ways and her toxic and her unwellness. She literally told my sister that I was probably going to throw her out like I threw her out the last couple of holidays when we got in a big ass fucking fight, right? And that's what she told my sister. And my sister said, please don't come. And then I just took it one level up and I just, God, if we cannot be harmonious and it cannot come from love, my mother's visit, right? I said, then please let us be free of her from love and let us both have, right? Or all of us have the best holiday from love, because I don't want bad things for my mom. What I'm doing here is asking God for what is best for me from love for me. I have been going, the universe has been sending us through the blender, for Christ's sake. I do not want my mother or anybody coming here and being a bitch to me on a fucking holiday. No, 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 no. Not acceptable for me. So I need a break where I'm going to have a nice dinner, and whoever so be with me from love, that's going to be in the healthiest space of love, that can make it a great time, is welcome, including my mother. But if God, if she can't be in that space and make it the best it can be from love, then please let her not come. And that's what I ask God for. And that's a great way for you guys to handle this stuff with the holidays and anything, right? Because if I know that she's going to be toxic, and it's a great way to just pray on it, right? So I know universe is going to take care of it. And if my mom comes, great. And if she doesn't, great. And however it goes down, I've already asked God that it's the best it can be. So even if she's an asshole and has a moment, and I tell her to go home, then I know that it is in alignment with love. Do you see? Yeah. So it's so beyond, and so much more complex, but yet at the same time, it's so simple. We really don't have to figure out anything. We don't have to make retribution for the past. We don't have to figure out what to do in this situation right here now, whatever the situation. All we have to do is ask love for what we want and let go of it and let God. Right? And if we don't know how to do that, ask love that we do. Thanks, love, for speaking through me now, please. Thanks, love, for handling this now, please. That's exactly what I say. Thanks, God, for this. You guys see me do it here every day. Right? Yeah. And when, if my sister's in a shitty mood or wilding, thanks, love, for me being free of that. Thanks, love, for helping the angels for taking this away for her from love. You see? So I can do anything with my energy from love, guided by my highest heart self. And my inner wisdom and connection to God. All right? And this is what we do here on the show. Okay, Nikki? So you should be good. All right. So what we will do is we'll examine this later, or we'll examine this into the future, either in one of our appointments, clear all this stuff out, as well as we can also talk about it here if you're comfortable, right, as to why we did what we did. But you can also do this yourself. Ask love to be free of everything that created this to happen and give you the best way to do this in next time with any of this, right? Because all you're doing is honoring you from love, and that's what you should be doing. Right? Now, how your mother feels about it, or the shit that she has, is her demons, her stuff in here, right? You know, it's the very same thing that makes the African American people wild in their hatred, or the indigenous people wild in their hatred. It's their personal shit about how they've been wronged or victimized, or their toxic beliefs, whatever all that stuff is. It's not in the highest form of love, and it's energy, emotional energy, and all energy that is emotion, right? And it's all coming from our souls, subconscious and conscious, right? A lot of times people don't even realize they have this shit going on. But this is all what we're here to do and teach, right? So we can change this world, right? Because until we address these things, they don't go away, and they morph and they manifest, just like your boyfriends, right? You go, oh, the next boyfriend's going to be better, and he's not going to be an asshole. And you get the next one, and he's a different kind of asshole, right? And then the next one is yet a different kind of asshole. And then the next one is yet another form of asshole. And then you got to say to yourself, like my father used to say to me, did you ever think, Lynn, where are you an asshole? Maybe you're the asshole, Lynn? That's what my dad used to say to me. And I would laugh, and then I went, huh. Because my dad was right. It was my toxic, right? So, but that's how the energy works. Each time we don't understand it, each time we fight it out, each time we're not getting the message from higher knowing, universe brings it to us out here in our reality. And then we can never really have that man because it's everybody else, or that partner because it's everybody else, but it's never me. Right? It's never me, or we don't know how to take a look at this, or we feel so terrible about ourselves, or we can't see it, or we don't know, or nobody teaches us. It's multiple reasons. But this is why we do the shows that we do and the work that we do, because people need to know how things work, the God's honest truth of it, right? From the highest, purest knowing of love, right? So share our shit. The more we get this out there and change ourselves individually, hopefully into the future, as I've asked God for, our plan is to go worldwide with this shit, all over, because we have got to change it for the people, for everybody, from love. And then what does this do? This takes away the toxic. It absolutely does, because love is all the power, not the darkness. Not ever. Not ever. But you decide what you're going to empower in you, in your heart, and who you're going to be. Yeah. Okay. Are we at 8:45?
8:50.
All right, so I think we're done for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm so grateful. Thank you all for everybody for sharing, donating, however you do it, and however you have done it in the past. Thank you so much. We'll be here again next Wednesday night, 7:15, God willing. I wasn't going to do an Easter Sunday show, but I'm being guided by higher knowing to do one anyway. So if you guys are around, fantastic, because what we're going to talk about is, things that have to do with that to some degree for our live talk forum. In other words, with the holiday and the way you celebrate and religions and stuff like that, because it's important, because all that matters with the holidays is that it all comes from love. So I've been guided by higher knowing to do a show for Easter Sunday, regardless of what your beliefs are. I was going to say no, but they're being guided, so there must be some really good stuff that is they're going to share with us about belief systems in reference to this, and that's what I feel like they're going to do. So that's this Sunday night live talk forum is this Sunday. Then we have 6 and 12 medical intuitive, and oh my God, I got a whole bunch of cool new shit constantly. That's what we do. We talk to God all the time, and our own personal lives and our destinies, right, are all designed so that we can share all of our wisdom with you guys, and just like your destinies are the same way with your gifts and your life and your reality. Crazy cool shit. All right, so again, we'll see you next week for this show on Wednesday at 7:15, doing the right thing from love. Friday night in 2 days, I think it is, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, yeah. 2 days, Friday night, 7:15, 6 and 12, medical intuitive. We're going to blow the doors off of a lot of cool shit, all right? This is exciting. Oh, I can't wait. And then Sunday night, we're going to do our live talk forum at 7:15. Thank you all. Many blessings. God bless you all. And I'm just sending you love for eternity. Thanks. All right, have a great night.